Hi friends, I'm Jeannie. This is Bo Beanie Creates, and I wanted to work on a little WIP today, a long-standing WIP that I thought it might be fun just to bring you along while I play a little bit. So it's in this book, Fantastic Collections by Steve McDonald, and I have a base of something. I have a feeling it's either Neocolor IIs or it might be inktense, I'm not sure, but you can see I've have a base. I've got some shading going on here, but not a lot. And so what I thought I'd do is I'd bring in my trusty Prismacolors and just see if I can't add a little bit of shading, some dimension, some intensity to this. So I was hoping you'd keep me company for this, so I appreciate you being here. I've got my coffee, black coffee this morning to get me going, and let's go ahead and get started. It tastes good. I'm probably not going to do a whole lot of talking on this just because I think I just want to concentrate and play a little bit, so that's what I think I'll do. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. It's Sunday morning and don't have a whole lot going on today. Hopefully just getting a couple of last minute chores done, and then besides that, just some coloring. And I wanted to get this done early. Gosh, it's been super warm back in my office, and so I thought if I can just kind of hit my studio here a little bit early, that'd be a good thing. All right, and hopefully you can't hear my fan because I do have it on already. It's already pretty warm. Got a little bit of blue out here, but I'm not worrying about little details too much right now. I just wanted to get my hands on this page again. I think I've kind of been avoiding it because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I had thought about going back in with, you know, the same type of water mediums, but I just didn't feel like it. There's just so many little bits, and I thought it just might be a tighter fit just to come in here with some Prismas and do some shading. I think that's helping. It's funny how sometimes it's just the smallest little things. It doesn't have to be huge adjustments in a lot of respects. It just has to be going in and getting a feel for the page again on these WIPs. And I think that's what keeps me away from them for so long, is just that I can't remember where I was in my mindset. I can't remember that. Sometimes I can't remember what my sort of vision was, what I used, all those kinds of things. And it's helpful to write down, of course, you know, what we used. We all know that, but I don't always do it, you know. So sometimes I find that I'm not getting the vibe that I had when I originally was working on a certain page. So it keeps me from coming back, you know. Now that being said, I'm not one to have very many WIPs. I usually tackle my pages from start to finish, but not always, you know. I don't enjoy having a lot of incomplete pages. Not that I don't have them, but I don't like having them in my collection, so I try really hard not to, you know. Just this little bit I can see that's helping. Okay. And I haven't decided, I may end up speeding some of this up. We'll just see how it goes. Really, I just wanted to play, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to bring you along. It helps, it really does. It feels like company, and I'm sure you're probably looking at this and thinking, oh, you missed that spot, you missed that spot, and I wish you were here to where you could tell me that in person, but you know what? I'll do what I can, and I'll try to pick up your your intuitions here. And I do have kind of a raspy voice because I'm not very far into my coffee, so I do apologize for that. Okay. And I'm not sure how far I'll get with this today. I'm trying to have just a really light touch on these so that it blends well, you know. And I plan on going back in and smoothing out the pencil that I'm adding right now, but a light touch certainly does help that. Looking at these, some of these, I am not even sure what the produce is. I know what most of them are, but I don't know. Let's see, what was I looking at earlier that I wasn't sure? I guess that's probably yellow squash. I don't know. So I'm not sure what that is. So you know what? Some of these are going to be just a make up your own fruit type of situation because I don't know what they are. Ugh. But most of them, you know, pretty identifiable. I was watching a YouTuber that I follow that had moved to the tropics, and it was fun to see just the different climate. She moved from Arizona to somewhere, she didn't disclose where, but she did film, you know, a little bit of the markets like this, you know, and just going for walks and seeing, you know, bananas and coconuts in the trees, and I don't even know, dragon fruit and different things that I just wasn't even familiar with. So it's kind of crazy that there's I don't know, fruits and vegetables, things that are sort of universal, but there's also, you know, that we're all pretty much familiar with. But yeah, there's some. I don't know if we don't see them as much because they're hard to transport, maybe. Maybe they don't, I don't know, maybe they have just a short period of time where they're good and transporting them just doesn't sit well. I'm not really sure. But this same YouTuber, she also had subscribed to one of those, I think it was like a fruit of the month or produce of the month type situation. And so she already was familiar with a lot of the various odd produces that I certainly didn't know about. And it was fun watching her kind of dive into those and get her opinions on all these exotic fruits. I think it'd be kind of fun. My fear, though, would be that they'd go to waste. I mean, I hate it when I buy produce and I don't know, like it just sits there, you know, I dive into it at first and then I forget about it, and what a waste. I try not to do that. I really, really do, but you know, sometimes it gets away from you. Or I'm very guilty of buying too much produce at once. I have better intentions than what actually happens, I think. Yeah, I should probably go more often and buy less, you know, to keep on top of them, so to speak. So, all right, I'm gonna leave the brown right now. Just, I feel like you've probably seen enough of me playing with that. So now I'm gonna go in with some goldenrod and kind of pick out some of these areas that I think could use a little bit of brightening. That last pencil you probably saw that I was using was burnt ochre, and it seemed to be a nice fit for what I already had laid down. So I'm just going in and I'm just picking out different areas that I think would benefit from a little bit of shading. Okay, a little bit of coffee. I was always one that drank coffee with every morning with cream and a little bit of sweet and low, and that was my jam. And it took me a little while, but I really wanted to learn to enjoy black coffee and not have to rely on all the added other things. So about a year ago, I guess, I gave that up, and I'm enjoying it. It does take, I think it's a acquired taste. It took me a little while to where I could not miss the additives. And would I love them? Sure. You know, they're who doesn't love cream in your coffee type of thing, but I think this is better for me. And like here, it's not adding a ton, and I can go back, and I will go back on all of these and just touch them up, but gotta start somewhere, so it seemed like a good fit color-wise to go in here. And I'm not being particularly careful. I think it's more just the overall illusion maybe that I'm looking for. This book is very detailed. It's a book of collections of different things. You know, there's cameras and eyeglasses, tools, what else? Like a candy store like this, but all different kinds of candies. Kind of reminds me of one of those old-fashioned candy stores that have all the different hard candies in jars that are really super colorful and pretty. And I have that was another one. Again, I really don't do many WIPs, but this book is just different for me. So I had colored a couple little jars of candies in there, and I don't know, it just was a lot. And I had kind of told myself that this book would be okay to sort of leave alone and just work on it when I felt like it. And when I had just a little bit of time that I felt like picking out little items or a little part of a page or something, that it was okay to go in there and do that. So that's really kind of the way I've been doing that. And yeah, it's that's fine. I mean, I think we approach different books well differently. You know, this is, what is this, salmon pink. It bugs me to have that page not finished, but I think it might be a better idea for me to maybe leave books like that out. And again, there's not very many, but leave them out to where they're a reminder that when I have just a little bit of time that I can, you know, pick up one of those and work on it a little bit. So, you know, I may do that. I may sort of clear a little area that's, or designate a little area that would work for that. I think they'd get more attention for sure. Oh, there's another page in here that's all suitcases, like those older suitcases that have, you know, the latches and the straps and all that, and that just looks super inviting to me. That'll probably one I'll visit here shortly. At least I hope so. I'll tell you, there's just so many things to work in that it's just hard to choose sometimes. Isn't it? Is it just me? I don't know. Okay. Not too shabby. Again, some of that blue, and I can probably go in with Posca or whatever and fix it. I'm just not overly concerned about it right now. Okay. That's about, at least for right now, that's probably enough of this. keep saying that and then I keep coloring, right? Wait, there's more. Okay. Let's see. Let's pick something entirely different here. Maybe let's do purple. Okay, so I've got Imperial Violet. I like, you know, these grapes, how it has a little bit of that sort of bluish something color in there, because that's what that reminds me of, these grapes. Sometimes things are a lot more color than you sort of think they are. That's what's kind of cool about nature, I think. If you really take the time to stop and look, there's so many different colors. I can remember my mom liked to paint and draw on things, and I remember sometimes we'd go for a drive and she would say, stop for a minute and just take a look at a tree, and you'll notice, if you let yourself, that there's a little bit of red or reddish color, reddish brown, whatever, in a tree. And you know, you don't think that, you think brown and you think green. And to this day, I still sometimes will take the time to see that, and it's kind of cool, because there really are many different colors, different shades. Kind of fun little exercise to train your brain to see things differently than you normally would, I guess. And again, with this, I'm not trying to be overly careful and detailed and that type of thing. I'm just trying to sort of pick out some shaded areas to add interest. Yeah. And even if I don't hit them with, say, this color, I can go back in with another color and pick up other things that I see that could benefit from a little bit of shading. And I'm not sure how involved I want to be in this, I don't know, detailed sort of shading, but you don't know till you go in and play. And again, that's probably what kept me from it, is I didn't know how I wanted to continue with it, and so I left it for a long time. And it's a pretty cool book. It's been around for a while. You don't see, at least I haven't seen a whole lot of people color in it in a while anyway. Maybe it's kind of similar to me, where you get it and you think, ooh, that is something I'll really work on, but then it ends up being a little bit intimidating, and that's fine. I think that all has its own time and purpose, and I think that's what's kind of cool about having a variety of books, is you don't feel like working on every book every day. I'm pretty picky about what I feel like working on. I for the most part can't just grab anything and color. I have to be in a mood, and I think there's probably a lot of different variables that in my head are all shouting at me at once, and as far as, you know, what's going to keep me from coloring on a certain page. Oh, that's too intricate. This would be better with whatever water medium, and I don't feel like working on that. This would be better with marker, and I don't feel like working on that right now. So I kind of go through this list of things real quickly in my head. Sometimes I think I'm conscious of it, and sometimes I think I'm not. And I pull open coloring books and kind of plow through them until I find the right fit. Sometimes I know exactly what I want to work on and I'll go to that book, but sometimes it takes me a while to decide. Maybe that's what gets us in our little coloring slumps, is we just don't know what we're in the mood for. And I really think that's okay. I think it's important not to pressure yourself with things that you don't feel like working on or you're not ready for, whatever. That's all okay. And I think if you're not a colorist, you probably don't understand. Why do you need so many books? Why do you need so many different materials? Well, because you do. It's our hobby, and we do what we like to do, so that is okay. We get it. I get you, right? You feel me. I know you do. Okay, I'm gonna switch it up here and choose a different color just to kind of keep this video moving a bit. I don't want to bore you with too much of the same thing if I can help it. A little bit of that burnt ochre again. I think that'll be a good color for these bananas, just to do a little bit of shading. You can see I already have some shading on these, but they definitely could benefit from some more. In my little farmer's market here, my bananas probably need to get sold relatively soon because they're at the perfect ripeness right now, so. Just buy a bunch of bananas and finish looking around the market. But you can eat them right then and there because they look pretty perfect. I hope you guys are working on something fun. I was able to get a couple of Christmassy pictures done for Christmas in July, so that made me happy. I'm not sure if I'm done with that for the month or not. I think I'd like to do a little bit more. I think I've only done 2 so far. And I enjoyed myself, I really did, but I'll grab that, sorry. That just don't look like a little bit much, and it didn't look like enough that I needed to actually turn on my electric eraser. I just needed a little bit of softening, kind of. Yeah, so I had fun working on what I did. I think I probably had more fun going through my collection, and I got out a bunch of different Christmas options. Now that's a funny looking banana right there. I'm not, oh, I see what it is, because it's facing us, so it looks different. All right, I'm with you. I'm with the program here. Okay. I think we'll call that good. For the most part. All right, and then could add a little bit of yellow to that. What do we want, you know? Maybe a little bit of jasmine yellow. Yeah, I think that's a good fit. I rearranged my Prismacolors in just a little bit of a different order than I had them in before, and I think I'm getting the hang of where things are at. They seem like in a good color order. They're one of those that I've worked with for so long that a lot of them I just recognize by sight as to what color they are. So even switching them up a little bit in a little bit of a different color order than I had them in is not really a big deal, because I recognize them on sight for the most part, you know, not at least the ones that I like to use a lot. The other thing I did is I went back in and I bought some replacements, things that I was low on. I had a lot of really little nubs of pencils that needed replacing, so that felt good to get that organized and replenished. I have the 150 set, which I really love, and I've replaced them many times over, but when you color as much as we all do, you can go through some pencils for sure. And there's certain ones that are favorites, I guess, and that one needs a little bit more brown. That are favorites, you know, like it seems like for me, I'm always going to be using certain ones a lot. Goldenrod, I'll be using a lot of Process Red is another one. Cream, Sand, Light Peach. There's just certain pencils that it's hard to keep them at any sizable amount in my collection, because I go through them pretty handily, you know. And I'm not one to do a whole lot of colorless blending. I'll do some just depending on the situation, but I find that I use my Prismacolorless blenders sometimes with other pencils more than I do, more than I do with the Prismas. But I'm not one, I know a lot of people like to do the white over the top of colored pencils to kind of burnish, or excuse me, over the top of coloring to burnish. And it depends, but I don't tend to do that a lot either. I just feel like it gives it too much of a milky look. And I'd rather go in with my lightest color, and if I'm gonna smooth it out that way rather than the white. That's just not my favorite. And everybody has their own way of doing things, and that's fine. We all color differently. We all have, you know, some of us are heavy-handed, some are light-handed, and so it makes sense that you'd want to use different tools, right? You know, but that's just the way it goes. And that's another awesome thing about coloring, is there's just lots of different ways to do things. And I feel like we can all learn a little something from each other too, because we all have our own little methods, and we all do have our own little ways of going about things, favorite things, whatever it is. So, what do I want to do next? Speaking of process red, let's see, let me grab that. I like that little watercolor effect though on this page. And I think it took pretty well. I just didn't feel like going back in and shading with watercolors. I just didn't feel like it. Let's see. What did I do here? Hopefully I'm still in frame here, being on the outskirts of my page. I've got my camera set up kind of high because this is such a large page, so I can't see in the screen as easily as I normally would be able to. Okay. All right. I'm gonna grab a pencil extender here. This is one that's a little bit short. Ugh. So what do we have here? I think right here would benefit from just this little bit of color. Oh, got a little bit of the plate that needs to be colored there. Well, I hear my husband getting up. He's one of those that's not quiet when he gets up. He makes all sorts of noises. I remember one time my son had friends over, you know, his football buddies when he was in high school, and they had stayed up, had dinner and stayed up late, and the next morning one of them said to my son, "Oh, yep, I hear dad noises going on in the background." Yeah, I thought that was funny, dad noises, but I think probably most of us know what that is. Oh my goodness, just trying to wake up and start your day. Okay, I think with him getting up, I am going to go ahead and call it for now. just so this doesn't get noisy, and also just so I can visit with him and finish my coffee. This has got to be like the slowest cup of coffee ever. But hopefully you enjoyed my little work in progress, and I'll work on it some more. I don't know if I'll bring you along for that or not, but this was fun, and it made me realize that I shouldn't have waited so long to dive back in. I'm really having a good time on this one. So I will chat with you guys later. Have an awesome Sunday, and happy coloring.